The riot police were hard at work even before Navalny was brought to court. Just holding a small sign saying "Free Navalny" wasn't permitted. Some of Navalny's supporters took refuge in a fish shop, from which they were quickly fished out.
Незаконно сажают человека по политическим мотивам. Все очевидно. У кого есть глаза, тот видит.
Это трусость власти. Простите, вот, пожалуйста, посмотрите вокруг. Это трусость нашей власти.
Foreign diplomats drove to court to observe, or meddle, as the Russian government puts it. Navalny's wife, Yulia, who was briefly arrested on Sunday, was also there. Navalny was brought in handcuffs. He's accused of breaching bail conditions for what he says was a politically motivated 2014 embezzlement charge. His defense? He was in a German hospital, recovering from a lethal nerve seemingly administered by agents of the Russian state.
Главное, для чего это происходит? Чтобы запугать огромное количество людей. Это же так работает. Одного сажают, чтобы запугать миллионы.
Outside, a fast food delivery rider showed up. Navalny had joked in court that he wanted a McDonald's, so a supporter had ordered it. See, he's got the address. He just needs the guards to let him in. The accused watched seemingly unconcerned as the judge started to read out her ruling. Drew a heart on the glass for his wife. Laughed as if he didn't care. The verdict was, he knew, inevitable. Guilty. 2.5 years in a labour camp. Yesterday, President Vladimir Putin was paying respects to the man who elevated him, former President Boris Yeltsin, on what would have been his 90th birthday. Navalny has clearly rattled Mr. Putin. It was last August that Navalny fell ill on a plane. Toxicology reports and his own investigation revealed that the nerve agent Novichok had been sprayed on his underpants. Today in court, he said Russians knew of Alexander the Liberator and Yaroslav the Wise, but history would remember Vladimir the Underpants poisoner. Outside the court, Navalny's lawyer said they would appeal.
Обжаловать мы, естественно, будем.
His wife Yulia said she would wait before making any statement. As dusk fell, riot police massed on Red Square. The Russian state has thrown down the gauntlet, and Alexei Navalny's restive supporters are ready to pick it up.
Well, earlier I spoke to Mr. Navalny's chief of staff, Leonid Volkov, who's currently in Lithuania's capital, Vilnius, for his own safety. He's wanted by the Russian authorities, who accuse him of illegally encouraging young people to attend anti-Kremlin protests. I started by asking him what the opposition plans to do next.
The plans are, first of all, to increase both internal and international pressure on Vladimir Putin, so to make him not only to release Alexei Navalny, but also to rebuild at least some of the political competition, to get our party admitted to participate in the election. Many people have seen the Putin investigation, and we have some more upcoming investigations to follow up.
But this is the YouTube video you're talking about,
yes,
this opulent Black Sea palace, which has now been viewed more than 100 million times.
Yes, and still, that's not the whole of Russia. So we can bring this investigation to every Russian home to make them aware of who Vladimir Putin actually is.
You talk about international pressure. The US has been vocal in condemning the imprisonment of Alexei Navalny, but still no sanctions from either the UK or the US on Putin-linked allies. Why do you think that is?
These possible sanctions are still like a leverage. So maybe Putin decides to release Navalny, and then those sanctions will not be imposed. I really believe that the West should go after Putin's money. He's like such a leprechaun with a pot of gold. And the largest part of this pot of gold is actually dug somewhere in Europe, in UK, in US, in Mayfair apartments of his friends, in chateaus in France of his ministers or oligarchs. and so on. And if these assets are seized, this will be a real punishment for Putin and his illegal actions.
How big a problem for Vladimir Putin is Alexei Navalny right now?
The only problems that concerns Putin now is Alexei Navalny. Hundreds or thousands of police forces are busy with surveillance after our employees in Russia, and are busy creating new like criminal cases, pushing new charges against our employees. Still, our political structure is able to operate even under this pressure. We still have 40 Navalny regional offices all over Russian 11 time zones up and running, and will continue to operate politically within the country.
Do you fear that you would be jailed if you returned to Russia?
Well, I know that I would be jailed if I return to Russia. That's why I stay out of the country. But it's another reason for us to keep fighting.
What's been extraordinary about the protests is the sheer number of people on the streets, and many young people. Does that make it more challenging for the Kremlin to squash these protests?
We had people of all generations, of all income groups, of big cities and very small cities. We have now seen a popular protest against Vladimir Putin, and that worries him very much. Kremlin has already arrested 12,000 people on the last 2 weekends, which is the largest wave of repressions in Russia since Stalin era. So the next stop would be, well, extrajudicial killings and shootings. We hope that the pressure from the international community also will prevent such a development of events.
I just also want to ask about Alexei Navalny's psychological and physical state in jail. How will he cope with this continued imprisonment? Do you fear that he will be attacked in prison or worse?
I'm pretty sure that he'll cope brilliantly because he's a very brave man. We just have to keep everyone in the world aware of the fact that Putin bears full responsibility of Alexei's physical condition now.
Leonid Volkov, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.